Do you feel like something is missing in your marriage? Do you feel disconnected or wish you could go back to the beginning? Dr. Ray and Jean, relationship experts and hosts of the podcast Couples Synergy, Real Couples, Real Stories, bring you a couples retreat like no other. At the Couples Synergy Weekend Intensive, you will create the relationship you've always dreamed of with the partner you fell in love with. April 20th through the 23rd at the Lodge at Needle Rock. Limited spots available. Contact them today at couplessynergy.com.
He sometimes describes himself as Shrek,
I
but
do
the
look a
reality,
bit like Shrek.
he's an amazing dancer. It was like a mosh pit.
A hippie mosh pit. They'll like end up rubbing off you too long, stare in your eyes too long, mosh pit. That's enough.
Take a girl and a guy, and they fall madly in love and form a family. Sprinkle in some counseling degrees and a doctorate, a dream of transforming relationships as we know it. And 20 years later, we give you power couple Dr. Ray and Jean Ketkodian. And this is their podcast, Couples Synergy.
And welcome back to another episode of Couples Synergy with Dr. Ray and Jean. Hi, I'm Dr. Ray.
And I'm Jean, and this is our podcast about love, marriage, and relationships.
Please check us out online at couplesynergy.com or on Facebook and Instagram at Couples Synergy. And please subscribe to our podcast, leave us a review, or send us any suggestions on topics you'd like to hear more about. And now on to Couples Synergy, an in-depth look at love, marriage, and relationships, where we bring you our experience helping thousands of couples transform their relationships for over 20 years.
Everyone says you should work on your relationship, but nobody teaches us how. So we've created this podcast to teach people what they can do to create the relationship they've always dreamed of
with the partner they fell in love with. On today's episode, we welcome Figs and Teal O'Sullivan, who are couples therapists and co-founders of the Empathy model. Thank you so much for being on our podcast today, guys.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for having us. We're delighted to be here.
It's really wonderful. You guys are in Hawaii, which I'm sure the weather there is beautiful.
Indeed.
We're a little snowy up here in western Colorado and just a little chilly. Yeah.
You guys have great names, too.
Oh, thank you.
Figs and Teal. Yeah, can you guys tell us the kind of origin of your names?
Well, so I've been called Figs since I was 4 or 5 years old. My real name is an old Irish name, Fiachra. And even in Ireland in the 70s, Fiachra was not a very common name. And so, I became, the kids started calling me Figs pretty quickly.
That's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So my birth name is Ramin, which is Persian, and it's off of like a Persian king or something like that. Is there an origin or meaning for your name?
Well, it's interesting. Well, growing up in the 70s, the answer was there was no direct English translation. Now the internet says it means battle king. So I go with that, depending on my mood.
Sounds very strong.
Sounds like how it actually is.
But where the name, I don't want to bore everyone, but where the name really comes from, like in Ireland, the equivalent of fig Newtons is called fig rolls.
Oh.
And there was this ad campaign in the 70s that's still really, it's a meme that got into the Irish psyche, where there was this a cinema noir detective character, and his name was Figs. And so he was always trying to stop Faker Baker working out how do you get the figs inside the fig rolls. And so anyway, so that character, I was basically named after an ad character. Now it actually sounds really sad. There you go. Remind me not to tell that story.
Stick with Battle King.
Exactly.
Stick with Battle King.
We'll have to cut this out of the recording so that the world doesn't know.
That's not good.
That's like my favorite treat, though.
Fig rolls, fig Newtons. Oh well,
I want to try the real thing when we go back to Ireland.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
All right. And I was gonna say, so teal, and I just love it. My mom, I'm always like, teal, like your favorite color. A lot of people love this color, and what I love is that my mom moved to Hawaii with me in utero, and as a single mom. And she was coming here to study marine botany and biology. And so and also a swimmer. So she'd swim out every evening to this windsock like a serious swimmer. Like she's not like, she's like, whew. And every night the sky would be this beautiful teal color. And I think she did run it by my dad, and he was down for it over there in California. And I love it. She spelled it with a little extra E at the end, because that's how she thought it was spelled. I'm just like, good idea, Mom.
That's a really good name origin story. I like that one.
Is that better? A little bit
inspired by the Hawaiian Ocean. That's wow.
Yeah. It doesn't have to do with cookies or
exactly.
no.
Oh, really pure, beautiful inspiration. Oh wow.
Well, and I was thinking, what a lovely experience as a baby to be traveling through the ocean every day.
That is true. Yeah, just traversing the seas.
Yeah, and you are still an ocean child.
I am still a child of the ocean.
Yeah.
Can you guys tell us the story of how you met?
Yeah, it's so funny. We were just talking about that. We were just talking about that last night, how we met.
Yeah.
Our will I tell it, or do you want? Well, I'll start. It's up to you.
You can start. Yeah, I'll embellish.
Right. So we met. I used to live at this place called Esalen. I don't know if you're familiar with Esalen. Your listeners are familiar with Esalen. Esalen is what used to be referred to as the Harvard of the human potential movement. It's where Eastern philosophy meets Western psychotherapy, and basically all of this like experiential psychotherapy started there. And I lived there for a year and a half as part of the community in Big Sur, hot tubs, ocean, people from all over the world. And I was returning with my dad for a 7-day dance workshop. I know most of your listeners are turning off. Okay, now he's a hippie. He's dancing with his dad in the wilderness. And Teal showed up. So yeah, we were trying to get away from the whole Christmas thing, my dad and I. And then Teal, you showed up.
I showed up. Yeah, I was there before I was, got into psychotherapy. I was a body worker, so massage, and I was there for an Esalen massage workshop and training, so to learn this new modality. And
Exactly.
I was so happy.
That's great. Like, so you can imagine. I know now you're listening to see the full hippie scene. My dad and I are dancing around the lodge. Teal is like, doing her hippie like massage stuff. And we happened to bump into each other at the salad bar.
At the salad bar.
Exactly. We bumped into where you had to have clothes on. So just don't.
Just straight
That was
up.
one of the only areas you had to have clothes on. Right? Now we like to exaggerate that, but the hot tubs wear clothing optional. But sometimes people, when we tell the story, they like to imagine we were both naked when we met each other, but it's not true.
At the salad bar. Totally
Right.
Not true.
We
Fully
won't
clothed.
embellish.
It was cold. I'm a Hawaii girl. Okay. I was in California, freezing.
Yes.
I had like parkas on.
It actually was freezing. It was like Christmas, right? We met on the 23rd.
We met on the 24th.
24th.
Good try.
23rd.
So close.
Sorry.
So close.
But basically, I instantly, and as a guy, right? It was actually kind of embarrassing.
Let's dial this part down.
Like, because it was just an instant, whoa! Like, you know what I mean? When we said hello, I was really embarrassed because there's like 200 to 400 people sitting around the room, and my body betrayed me instantly.
Okay, thank you.
Like, it's a fact, right? And so I was really embarrassed. I ended up having to run away,
That's
like,
how you left?
drink water. Wait a second.
Like a 13-year-old?
Yeah, no, seriously. Like, and then of course, because we're kind of stuck. Luckily, when you're stuck at a kind of a retreat center like that, like being obviously a crap person at picking up someone. Sorry I wasn't trying to pick up. I was able to get a second and third chance, right? Because I was going to see her again because we were at this place. Yeah. So then we ended up. Did we go dancing next?
Well, yeah, then you were like, I'm going to go dance. And listen, this man, he sometimes describes himself as Shrek, but the reality, he's an amazing dancer. It was like conscious dance. And he was like, it was like a mosh pit, but not in a violent way.
Hippie mosh pit.
Like a hippie mosh pit.
Kind of like, they'll like end up rubbing off you too long, stare in your eyes too long, mosh pit. Like you're not going to get physically hurt, but you might just get, okay, that's enough eye contact.
No, but you were like, you were a leader and having so much fun. And I remember just like, wow, I'm delighted. And I was kind of like galloping after you. And so at Esalen,
You're a good galloper.
Am I good?
Yeah.
Still to this day, I do have failures, but that is
no. You're good at galloping. No. So then what did we go? We went to the hot tubs.
The hot tubs. We had like.
And then we were actually together.
Okay.
You know, with no clothes on.
Thank you.
All like, you know, really respectful. And then we gave each other massages.
Yeah, we did. So Esalen, it's like
Amazing.
they say you're there for 3 days, but it's almost like you have like 3 dates within like the period of an evening, but it's kind of like people say it's like 3 years of dating. So our relationship really bloomed.
Yeah, instantly. Well, instantly, like just launched like a SpaceX rocket that actually landed. Because most of the time in situations like that, you can have those meetings, and then when you go back to the real world, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Right. But when we met each other back in the real world, I was pleasantly surprised you weren't really annoying.
Yeah.
You know,
same with you. Yeah.
He wasn't annoying.
Yeah, I was just kidding.
Yeah, well, that it like it wasn't just like a quick romance.
Yeah,
that it was something that then carried over. And Figs was in Fairfax. I was in San Francisco,
Northern California.
There's
so many Fairfaxes, by the way.
Oh yeah, I should distinguish. But then the reality is that Figs really fell in love with my dog, and
that was embarrassing.
The fact that like my dog liked Figs, he liked her. Even though I had to go to therapy about it because she was my primary attachment figure.
Yeah, what happened was I was so stupid now when you think back. I was telling Zephyr that I loved her before I was telling Teal. Like Teal would watch me and the dog, friends kissing.
Whoa.
You know, like I love you. Okay, I thought you witnessed that. But anyway, so there you go. Sorry, we indulged ourselves on how'd you meet story.
Yeah,
fun. And what was it about each other that you fell in love with?
Well, I can go. Look, it's still the same to this day. Teal you are the ultimate yes person, and really positive and excited and fun. And you've just always made me feel better and less of a worrier, which I really am. Just more, I just feel more at ease and more confident and more ability to just go do stuff because of your positivity and enthusiasm. And it's still here. Yeah.
Thanks, CD.
Yeah.
Yeah. From the moment I met Figs, I was really just like, I have never met a creature like this in my entire life. And I met a lot of different people, a lot of different situations, and was just really turned on by his mind and how smart he was, and just drawn in, magnetism, energy. He was like a powerful leader amongst just his friends at Esalen. And then I got to see that in Fairfax. Mm-hmm. Great dancer. And he made me an Irish stew on like one of our first dates outside of Esalen. And I was like,
I know. I fooled you, actually. What is it? It was a bait and switch on the diet.
But you know what?
I was full on keto and CrossFit. That went out the window once.
Well, I thought you were going to say you fooled me that like you're a cook.
And I'm a cook, exactly.
And it's true. And you know how I fooled you? I like every time I'd go over to your house, I'd make the bed, but like I actually don't do that.
Yeah, that was total bait and switch.
This is the first time we've actually really acknowledged this, guys.
Right.
How old were you when you guys met, and how long have you been together?
We've been together almost 10 years.
Yeah, we've been together. We've been together 10 years. So what was I? I was 41, spring chicken.
Yeah, and I was 29.
I had like just so many relationship successes before meeting Teal. Not true. I was already about to throw in the towel that I just couldn't get it together. Right. Had to walk my mom down Ocean Beach in San Francisco and tell her, look, I'm really sorry. I'm not going to, I just can't make relationship work. No one likes my dancing. No one likes a guy that looks like Shrek. I don't know what to say. I'm not, I mean, and it was sad, right? I was like, look, I don't think I'm going to make you a grandmother. And literally, so crazy, that moment of letting go is then, you and I met like literally a month or two later.
Yeah.
But yeah, 41. And how old were you?
It was 29.
29.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like out of relationship. I was just like, I'm doing me for the first time in my life. And like just really excited on that path. And when you get, again, like you get dedicated, you're like, I've let go. Yes. Also not having any successful relationships, really like some painful stuff, like we all go through in a way.
We were like relationship orphans that found each other, luckily, out in the cold. Yeah, just like
I love that.
Yeah,
I think we were in the same space, and that's why I think that's why doing couples work was such a passion of ours, because we lived through all the yucky stuff.
Yeah, I love that. Right. I mean, that's what I always think of it. I sometimes joke that our kids aren't going to be able to be good couples therapists, right? Because, they get to be held in this loving, bond and this sense of belonging we have between us. Whereas, Teal and I had like all this love wounding from childhood and through life that on one hand is, life's betrayals, but on the other, it's actually the very energy and essence that makes it possible for us to help other people.
Absolutely.
Right. Help ourselves, help other people.
Yeah.
Did you both get into doing this kind of work before you met, or was it something that came from your relationship?
That's a great question. Yeah.
And I guess I should clarify this kind of work. You guys can describe what kind of work you do and the name of your company or your method.
Yeah. Will I go? Is that right? Or you
Yeah,
want to
go for it.
Okay. Well, so I was already a psychotherapist, working in private practice. And so I was doing this work, and I'd already discovered emotionally focused couples therapy. And that's where both certified emotionally focused couples therapists. And so I was really passionate about the working with couples when we met. But it was, it was relatively early. I would have been 1 or 2 years into my journey of, seeing clients at that point. Previously I was in business development and, stockbroker, all that kind of stuff. And then you and I met.
Yeah, I was like in my second semester of my graduate program for counseling psychology. So I had started, but I was like such a baby in the field, and I was studying community mental health and had no inkling or desire to move towards couples therapy. Like Figs he'd talk to me about relationship, and I'd just be like, let me tell you about this guy, Lacan.
Oh yeah. You're into all this heady.
Yeah, this like heady
stuff.
psychoanalytic, like psychodynamic, which, some of it actually does carry over into the attachment science realm. But yeah, over time, I adopted EFT kind of on my own. And then Figs has been like just the best teacher. So, a lot of our interns and associates that work with us, or they like email me like, Teal, these, I have this question, how should I send this email? And I'm just thinking, so lucky. Like I really got cultivated. I got to ask you all the questions and go through cases sometimes, really generally, of course,
but we're very lucky. Here's like you, as I'm sure you could imagine, we're equals in our love, our relationship, but then I actually knew more, and because I spent years studying at Esalen and all the different teachers, and then was very fortunate because my former career I could immerse myself without working into learning all these things. That like I was definitely the teacher and Teal was the student, right? And that, as you could imagine, not necessarily the best for our relationship, right? I mean, lots of growth opportunities with that dynamic, right? As you can imagine, right? And then, but now, like, this is like everything that I would have hoped for. That, like, look, the days of me being like more knowledgeable or quote unquote, more experienced in the room with couples, I think, are gone. Like, you're definitely my equal and much better than, like, when it comes to like, we have 20 therapists on our team. Teal is much better trainer than I am. Now, she's not as funny, let's face it.
Actually, I would beg to differ.
Okay, you're even funnier. But like, I'm 51, right? I now, I've reached that age where I try and tell a joke, and everyone's like, "Oh, that poor man doesn't know his place in the world yet. His day is over."
It's a dad joke,
right?
You transition to dad jokes now.
Exactly. They're like, "Oh, he still thinks it's funny. That poor fella. Oh, someone needs to sit him down and have a talk with him."
Yeah.
And yet we do. And yet,
but in all seriousness, you're like, look, I'm kind of in the Hakomi therapy world. My character strategy, I'm a little burdened enduring. Like, I feel alone. I got to carry everything on my own, and I just have such a like sigh of relief that you're just such an amazing leader in this field, completely in your own right, without me, which I know some people that would be scary, but that to me is like, woohoo! Yes, it's not all me. It's good.
But was your experience with previous relationships, was that kind of what drove you to work with couples to begin with?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, I think also just not having, for me, like not having two parents growing up, and obviously I had a badass, amazing mom who did a lot of the work, but just kind of feeling that attachment wound and longing, and knowing my own loneliness, knowing those moments of people being like, "But where's your dad?" That impacted me in a way where I didn't see everyone was like that, right? I felt like, oh, you're okay, that's how your family looks, and this is how your family looks. And I felt this sense of just wanting to create different environments for some kids, right? For some kids, it's the right thing to grow up as a, with a single parent, and just like props to all the single parents out there, right? But just kind of going from my own experience, I wanted to give people the experience that maybe I didn't have, which would have been parents that were able to like figure that shit out. Sorry for the swear there, but really figure it out.
I didn't even notice, actually. Yeah. So
it's like so naturally part of my speech cadence. But yeah, so yeah, I was just inspired by my own hurt and suffering to give people new and different experiences, and didn't even really realize, like I said, I was really into community mental health issues around gender and culture and ways that power and privilege play roles in people's lives. That was like where a lot of my, passion was, part of growing up here in Hawaii, which still informs my work. And I feel like through our relationship, and I was like, things haven't worked before in relationship, and something is working with Figs.
Yeah.
And so I was really turned on. I was kind of like midwifed into the process through our relationship, and then I got hooked. So.
Yeah, and look, we're mirror each other, even though our childhood stories are very different. But I'm also the son of a single mom, right? My dad was around, but my dad had a primary relationship with alcohol. Right. By the way, my dad and I are very close, right? But I would say it's the cliched Irish story: alcoholic father, heartbroken mother. And I grew up just with a lot of shame and being anxious. Like, I still remember as a kid just being scared at night, just waiting to hear my dad's key go in the door, so that I could, okay, he's home. Thank God, right? And then of course I'd be in pubs at like 5, like just propped up at the bar while he was drinking, and the images of the hero single mom walking 2 miles with the grocery bags with her 2 little kids, right? So look, there's just no two ways about it. My heart's biggest longing was to be part of a family. It was from the beginning, and it still is now. And so that's like, I know I joke about it, but with you and I and how we met and everything, but I'm living my biggest dream. I know some people, when it's really sad, they want to build rockets, right? You know, like, I don't know, right? Make $1 billion. I just wanted to be like the dad my dad couldn't be.
Mhm.
And I wanted to be the husband my dad couldn't be. It makes it sound like a very, you know, like it's a revenge movie. I'm going to love in all the ways you couldn't. Right. But
It actually sounds like a country song.
oh, there you go. Exactly.
Hey yo.
Yeah.
Next
We could
profession.
do that in an Irish accent.
Goals 2023.
But it really is just like every day there's a couple of moments where I'm just like, did I die and go into the good parallel universe? Like just yesterday, if you humor me with a little story, I didn't tell you this. I feel like we had one of those peak moments that if I'm lucky to be conscious on my deathbed, I'll remember this moment. So yesterday, now our 5-year-old he's losing his mind at the moment. He's so difficult. But we had a brief break. The four of us are in the car together trying to bring him to swimming. And Cher comes on, and Teal is like, I love this song. I can sing the song really well. And so she belts out her best Cher. And then I do it. And Teal is definitely, you were like, look, mine was much better. And so she asked the kids, look, whose Cher is better? And so I sing, and the kids, they would like to put me down, but it was impossible. It was so good. They just were they were like, no, not much we can make fun of that. You went, Teal, no offense. It was atrocious.
It was.
I mean, it was so
It
bad.
wasn't my best work. Okay.
The kids who normally would, like, you know, you fall over in a banana field, break your nose, they will say, that's a beautiful move, Mom. Right? But they literally couldn't say it. They were just like, that.
They were like, Mom wins.
They did not. They were speechless. Hers was so bad. But anyway, it was just such a great moment of like the four of us being connected in a family that, look, it just seems like a nothing moment, but these were the kind of things that I didn't have. And just to be part of that now, you know, as the least important member of the family, mind you, you know, as the dad. But even that, I'm just delighted I'm allowed in the car. You know, thank you for letting me be here. The three, like, you know, first class family citizens.
Okay, stop that.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Anyway, so that was fun. I'm definitely better at singing.
If you could go back to being 29 and 41 and the parts of you that weren't able to figure out relationships back then, what would you say to yourself?
Beautiful. It is such a good question. I think for me, it was the feeling of being really chosen. Like that's the kind of attachment, you know, wound that I might have had from being a little Teal. And so there was this moment where you and I were together and, you know, not to get graphic, but just basically like, I was like, what if I get pregnant? Like I'm in a 2-year intensive graduate program. And Fig said to me, I still remember the place. It was in the parking lot. And you were like,
Basically, you may have to contact. We weren't doing anything in the parking lot.
Whoa.
Like, what are you talking about?
That's like a way more interesting story. Okay.
That was something else.
I might embellish. No.
Right.
In the back seat.
That was in the back seat. Yeah, no. No, but I said, I was just like terrified and I am a highly anxious person. And I was like, what if I get pregnant? Like, I'm in my graduate program. And Figs just put his hand on my shoulder. And he's like, that would be amazing. And I was like, what? Like, you would want to build a family with me? Like, I think there is a part of just not knowing, you know, my worth and value and specialness, and then to be chosen. So I think that was the developmental moment for me where I experienced, oh my gosh, I can do this. I don't know if I answered that right.
Well, that's good. I like it. It's good to hear the story again. I was a little worried you're about to tell a story about you and an ex in a parking lot, but so I'm just relieved. That's a much better answer than where it was going.
Okay.
But well, so here's like I said, I'm very lucky that in some ways I just had a couple of years of really learning what attachment theory is before Teal and I met. So here's the number one that helped me is just seeing everything from an attachment lens, right? And with, attachment, we all need to be emotionally bonded. And there's only really two questions people are ever asking. It doesn't matter what we're talking about, tiddlywinks, Super Bowl, who's going to do the dishes.
Who's a better singer?
Yeah, I mean, that one, but we won't go back there. But it's basically, are you there for me? And are you enough for me? This is it. They're just the two questions, right? And so knowing that, look, I've got a really deep sensitivity, right? Because I've been wounded on both sides of that, to both of those. And anyone I'm talking to is going to be quite sensitive to knowing, am I there for them, or are they enough for me? And so, no better place than California to learn how to be really validating and accept other people, accept myself, and make sure that I'm meeting my own and other people's emotional bonding needs, even if I don't agree with them, right? So someone can come up to me and tell me, look, I support this political leader. They are the best in the world, end of, right? And they're going to make the world a better place. And I may disagree with them, and I'm still able to make sure I meet their emotional bonding needs. Yeah, that makes sense. You would believe that. I love that. Thank you for sharing, right? Like, I don't have to negate them, invalidate them, not accept them. And so just learning, look, up until then, I'm being critical, getting into power struggles with people because I'm not accepting and validating. I didn't understand that emotional bonding is everything. Like, everything else on top of that is just window dressing. So yeah, look, that's changed my life, right? Like, seeing the world through an attachment perspective.
It's interesting when you were talking about that statement of, am I enough? And are you there for me? Right?
Yes.
Has been flipped. People are thinking more about what can I get than what can I give.
Right now, right?
Yeah, and the what can I give is really that's the meat and potatoes of a relationship.
Right.
The what can I get is the opposite. There's a study of the degree of selfishness is equal to the degree of distrust in a relationship.
Right. Yeah, no, I love that. By the way, one of the things, and I actually think it's the article of ours that's been read the most. We have an article that's like, stop asking for your needs to be met. Like, one of the things that drives me nuts right in our world today is people have all been indoctrinated into, I have needs, and I have a divine right to ask for those needs to be met.
I'm entitled.
Yeah, like it's like, and look, it's not people's fault. It's literally, people were born in a world where everyone told them, you have needs and you should ask for those needs to be met. And if they're not met, yeah, you should do something, right? Versus really understand, what are the feelings that are happening in me? What's happening inside the other person when I ask for my needs to be met, right? And just seeing how, look, you're actually having a vulnerable experience, and then sharing the gift of that vulnerable experience. And then when going on a little rant, when you share your vulnerable experience without a request on the end, this is the crazy thing. You've maximized the probability of getting your needs met.
Sure. And it's not a demand. It's not an expectation then. Right.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So and I think people are just trying to mitigate, those fears of abandonment and rejection. And so if I'm going to put, these are my needs, this is my list here, you have to meet this expectation. And if you don't, well, then I can be the one to reject, and I'm not going to be rejected. I'm not going to be the one that's being abandoned.
Right.
Exactly. And so it's like, I think that's what you're talking about, that things are
exactly. And then of course we end up in trench warfare in our house. There's we've got no man's land, when both people, you're not meeting my needs, I got to keep an eye on you. Right. And it's really sad. It's really tragic, right? Because those two people actually love each other. They've just gotten themselves a little scared of each other.
And then the relationship becomes transactional, competition comes into play, and then resentment. And it's really sad when relationships turn into that.
Very sad.
It's especially sad just because people are missing the best parts of themselves and each other, right? The longing to feel chosen, or the longing to feel important and cared about, right? Like, that's actually the most probably attractive part
Exactly.
of
that
of me,
vulnerable
or
longing.
that longing to feel enough. Like, did I get it right? Right. And then we've got so many strategies because of trauma, because of relationship models that are kind of bonkers, right? That then we experience this sort of tragic falling apart of relationships. So that's what we're all so lucky enough to be able to like, and I bet you guys do this too, just as you work with other people, as you help people in relationship, right? You're always working on your own relationship. So there's a way that we can just really fine tune, because Figs and I run a business together. We've got 2 wild kids. We've got an amazing life, and we get really triggered with each other like every day.
Yeah.
And we heal. So we come back together. We come home to each other through this attachment perspective that's so helpful in relationship.
Well, that was going to be my question, is that how has doing this work affected your own relationship and your own relationship development?
Thank you. So here's the way I think of it right now. Just knowing that moments of disconnection between 2 people that love each other is actually a feature, not a bug. Right? It's a feature of love. It's not a bug. Most people are trying to squash the bug that we have moments of disconnection and how could we be good? When actually the moments of disconnection, we should be on our way to 7-Eleven, buy their most expensive bottle of champagne and celebrate. Right? Yeah, I know you don't buy your champagne at 7-Eleven. I do. I'm sorry.
I don't even know if they have 7-Eleven.
I don't think they have champagne at 7-Eleven.
We don't. But basically, when we have moments of disconnection, it means we still love each other enough to be scared. Wow, it looks like you don't care about me. We still love each other enough. Oh my God, it looks like you're disappointed in me. And that pain that we experienced that led us to like having a little snipe at each other, like tripping her ankles as she was like, going down the stairs, and she puts my hand in a warm bowl of water at night. So I wake up where I peed myself. Like that's the kind of fights we have. Right. But all of that happened. The only reason we took those actions in our fight, right, was because we still love each other so much that we both get hurt. And so once we're living inside that perspective, now we can come back together and repair and be there for each other.
Right.
In the ways that we weren't able to temporarily. So just living inside of that framing, like, I hope we have moments of disconnection with each other for the rest of our lives. And we can always come back to seeing it what it is. Oh my God, thank God we still love each other so much.
Exactly. Yeah. It's that growth mindset as in opposition to the sort of fixed destiny. If you have relationship troubles, people think, oh my gosh, you're clearly not the right partner for each other. And the reality is, no, this is exactly what you're supposed to be doing. Welcome to the club. Exactly. Now let's get to work. Let's heal some of these wounds that you experienced as little ones. Now with someone who is capable of doing the work, right? Who's interested and open to say, oh my gosh, we just had a terrible moment. Let's figure it out. Let's figure out, how we were both in a negative cycle together, right?
Yeah.
How I behaved poorly when I was hurting inside.
And me.
How you behaved poorly when you were hurting inside, right? So sort of that reparative.
Yeah. And then love each other, right? The parts that got hurt underneath the bad behavior, like the ones that were actually hurt, then we show up and love those parts in each other.
Yeah.
So we have to do that all the time, right?
It's like couples are doing like they go out in the back alley and duke it out, but we're like master MMA fighters in the ring.
Right, exactly. Well, by the way, again, I was saying, like, I'm better at the singing. Here's what she's known. We have Friday night WrestleFest, right? It's Saturday morning. So we had WrestleFest last night. It actually happened last night. I thought you killed Kian, our 5-year-old. But she's like the best wrestler.
He worked.
Okay, he worked me. He convinced me she was killing him. But she has what we call the nails of doom. Like, I could have her in a headlock and I could be winning, and all she does is just, and that's it. I'm like, hey, like,
tap out.
I don't know. Are you allowed to use your nails in MMA? Because you could actually compete competitively.
No, heck no. But if you grow up with brothers, like, what you're using.
Yeah, you're a really good wrestler, and you don't stop. Like, I would never choose to wrestle. I would never initiate wrestling with you because, like, I would want to do it for like 30 seconds, and you would just like, I'll keep going, like, until I win.
I have a lot of endurance. That's the awesome thing about women. right there.
Yeah. So
One of the
yeah,
things.
you are definitely, there's no competing with you at wrestling.
Thank you.
All right, just that was important to make explicit.
Right. Date night, wrestle night, same thing, you know.
Well, we did get some kids book about Friday Night WrestleFest, and it's like our kids now are obsessed to it. Every time it's Friday, they're like Friday Night WrestleFest. So we have to do it for the four of us on the bed, our dog kind of running,
Underwear on the head, whatever it might be.
It has to be like wrestling costumes.
Yeah.
Underpants on the head seems to be a favorite wrestling costume
of yours.
So we have a little bit of time left, but I just really want to quickly ask you guys, in the work that you do, are you seeing a difference in the different generations of relationships and how long people have been together? And how long does it take for you guys to help a couple turn things around?
Can I answer the first part and you answer the second part?
Sure.
All right. Wrestling. So one of the things that I want to say about this is about working kind of like, let's say with the newer generation, right? I'm getting a lot of, 20 somethings in my office. And I just have to say, for the world, for the record, I am so heartened by this generation, right? I've got these people coming in that are like they're just, 4 months, 6 months into relationship, not talking about anyone specifically, but just kind of as a trend that I'm noticing. And they're like, we want to have better communication. We want to make this work. We want to figure out how to have better intimacy and sex. We want to figure out how to plan for the future. We want to figure out how to support each other and one another's roles at work. We want to figure out these issues around our mother-in-law or father-in-law or sister or brother, or like what kind of dog we should get. And they're getting the support.
Doodle.
Straight up.
To be clear.
Just doodle. No, rescue.
No, I'm just saying that answer, that one we could help. Just doodle.
Okay, stop. Stop yourself.
Sorry.
So anyway, I'm just heartened. I'm heartened by this amazing generation who are so attuned to just
they're reaching out early.
They're reaching out early.
Not waiting until they're like, it's us or a divorce lawyer, right? It's brilliant.
It's beautiful and it's heartening.
Yeah, it's great. And the other thing was okay to add to this part, it isn't as there's just more variety. In a heterosexual couple, it's not guaranteed that it's the man that is hey, I just need more space. What can I have time to do my fantasy football league? And it's not definitely the woman that's the one that hey, where are you? What about us? Right?
Exactly.
There's just I love that, the younger generation have more access to their feelings,
really do.
A little bit more emotional experience, knowing their internal world.
I think that's such a good point. Just some of the gender norms, right? Not like we only work with heterosexual couples, but just some of the gender norms that we might see in different generations, right, are really reversed. Exactly. And there's just a dynamic, sort of interweaving.
And we should say we primarily work with, just because this is the audience that knows us, with San Francisco, Silicon Valley executives and founders of companies and lawyers and creatives that. Just now we work with anyone. I have two couples right now in their 80s, which it's just the greatest honor to get to work with people that, I'm learning so much, right? I just can't even imagine what their life is like. And I get to be on that journey with them is such a gift. But yeah, I just constantly am blown away. And just blown away that people always surprise me with their ability to access their feelings and share vulnerably when they've given some space, regardless of which generation, boomers, X's, millennials.
That's a
good point. I don't even know who the next one. Ys. Are they Ys?
Y, Z.
Generation COVID.
And there's another one after Y, right? There's whatever.
I think Z. Yeah.
See,
Z is the youngest generation right now, and they seem to be more preemptive in seeking help, right?
So
and I think you're talking about like the gender norms it's more fluid.
Right. Exactly.
Yes,
Yes.
there is.
And in the 90s, it was mental illness, and now it's emotional wellness.
Right.
so-
Which is brilliant. I
that.
love. Yeah, that's great.
Huge shift there, right?
Yeah, that's what we're kind of the empathy, our company mission is to try and take, you're not sick if you're looking for relationship help. Like we're a licensed, marriage and family therapist, but it's not something like that you have to go see a doctor. It's like ridiculous in a way, right? That like, yes, we all need guidance, right? Because it's hard, but just like when you go work out, you're not sick. You're just like looking after yourself.
We
So that's like
learn
that's
this stuff in kindergarten. in a
exactly.
way. Yeah.
And but we're just the fact that the frame is changing, right? To like this is just self-care. It's not illness, or there's not something wrong with you if you're struggling in your relationship. Is really exciting to be a part. We are a part of that shift.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Second part of your question.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, the second question is like, how long do you guys work with people on average?
yeah.
Oh, how long does it take to make a difference? Well, let me answer it. So here's what I have found is literally from the very first session, it makes everything better. And here's why, right? And, basically this is the only thing I've done for the last, whatever it is, 10 to 12 years. And so I always say, look, I had to be good at something, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like I was pretty crap at most things, right? And so
singing too, right?
What's that?
Singing. You're
Singing you're good at.
Yes. Thank you.
That's true. Thank you. Which, by the way, I am going to get to do some ocean paddling, like outrigger canoeing with the cast of Hamilton in 2 days. Just by chance got invited to do that.
So cool.
So I'm very excited because I'm a big musical fan. I might actually end the show with a song. No, I'm kidding. No. But so basically, look, from the very first session, once a couple comes in and they've been out like struggling on their own and they get to be held by a frame, a system, and a guide that knows how to do that system, where now they're not alone and there's actually a process we can trust. The problem hasn't changed, but just the fact that they're now held, that it instantly helps. And then look, it's not me or Teal, right? Like emotionally focused couples therapy, it's just thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of couples from EFT therapists that have videotaped their work, research. It's the most researched way of helping people. It just like I've walked out of our office in San Francisco. And after I saw a couple and I heard the couple saying, he's a witch, right? But look, I know it's not. I used to take it personally and go like, I'm amazing. Now I just look, it's this system, it's this model. It just reflects accurately who people are. And when people did not know who they were, they're like, how do you know my life? Right? They're like, so from the very beginning, it helps. And then our goal, part of my attachment style is, look, part of why I like doing couples therapy, I don't want to see you in 5 years from now, right? I moved to Hawaii to get rid of all my clients they keep knocking on that. Like, go away, we're done, please stop. So I don't want the clients to become dependent on me. Part of what I love about couples work, we want to get the couple to go, leave it alone. You've got it sorted. You do not need us any longer.
Fly out of the nest.
Exactly. No, exactly. So we're going to help you co-regulate each other, and then bye. Now, that's the hardest part of my work, because they're like, no, we're keeping the slot. We'll be here next week. And I say, no, you won't. And they're like, Figs is bullshit. We are keeping this slot. And I'm like, you're done. I'm giving this slot to some other couple. And they're like, fine, whatever. Right now, they're happy in the relationship, but they're disappointed with me. But yeah, so
because you abandoned them.
The goal is 12 sessions. Get them to done in 12 sessions. Now, as you know, every couple is unique. It may not work out that way, but it's good that we're all on the same aligned goal.
And let's just be clear, right? Some couples come 4 times. Some couples come 20, 30 times. And it just has to do
some
with
couple come every week for the rest of their life because it's valuable.
It's valuable, and it has to do, right, with trauma and how alliance goes between all of us, how they do, right, being held in this space. And as we know, right, trauma takes a while to just be able to be held and safe enough to do some of this work. So if you're in couples therapy and it's taking you more than 12 times, that's okay. That's okay. That would be
Don't judge yourself, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's a big range there.
Absolutely. Right. Yeah.
So last question. What is it that your partner does that you know they love you?
Well, go on. Will I answer? I'm very happy to answer. I would say here's what I'm in touch with right now is the greatest new thing that's entered my life in the last 3 years, I mentioned, is ocean water paddling. And you signed me up, Teal. She signed me up for a competitive paddling team. I thought you signed me up for like a recreational sightseeing thing. And so I was a little surprised. I walked down, they took a look at me, right? And they were like, in a year from now, you're going to be really valuable to this club. And I'm like, oh, I don't even understand what that means. But then the next thing you know, like I'm training 15 hours a week on the ocean, and I'm supposed to be doing push-ups and pull-ups and running. And you had just the fact that you signed me up, you got me up off the, Hawaiian siestas every day, when it was too hot, and that you encourage and support me looking after myself, and that it's that important to you that I actually do something other than eat pizza. The kids hide their snacks from me, and by the way, that's no joke. Like they have a lockbox because when they go to bed, like I can't be trusted with the potato chips. So just in all seriousness, just the way in which you care about my health, my well-being, so that I'll be here, really amazing. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah. Hell yeah, I want you here. You need to be here for me.
Thank you.
Yeah. I love that. Thanks for sharing it. And I know I'm trying to I'm going to say it like it is. Like just bottom line, the way that you take care of me and the family, like all the stuff, all the unthanked things, like the paying this bill, the taxes, the constant, thinking about growing and expanding and your vision, that translates on a really deep fundamental level for me, that you love me and that you really want to take good care of me.
Oh, thanks, sweetie.
Yeah.
I did.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's not like, oh, you make me this smoothie. It's like, it's so part of who you are in the fabric of our life. So I feel so well cared for.
Thank you, sweetie. Yeah.
Well, Figs and Teal, thank you so much for being on our podcast today. How can our audience find out more about what you guys do?
Yeah. So the easiest is just our website is empathy.com, and it's empathy with an I on the end, not a Y on the end. Okay. Like the guy that owns Empathy with a Y on the end.com wouldn't sell it to me. So we had to kind of like Jimmy rig empathy, .com. So, and then, also I'd say the best then like on social media is just YouTube, to be honest, because, we kind of like yourselves, longer form content. So just it's Empathy Now on YouTube. And then we actually have our own podcast where we should have talked to you a little bit about this, where we actually shared our own couples counseling sessions. So we would do our own personal, not as therapists. We're the clients.
As clients, yes.
And we would record the session, got the permission from the therapist, never show the therapist, but then we talk about what it is that we experienced in the therapy session, what was valuable. And so, yeah, we have about 15 episodes where we actually share our own personal therapy sessions.
See, over 12.
And now we've kind of gone into more just making fun of each other like this. which is valuable for us, if not for anyone else. But
And what's the name of your podcast?
Come Here to Me. The podcast name is Come Here to Me, which is an old Irish expression. And we use it because it's kind of like the way we symbolize that repair moment where like we realize that we've been in trench warfare and we're both hurting now because I lost a leg, you know, you like, you know, have shrapnel in your head. And then we go like, were you hurting? Yeah. You? Yeah. Come here. No, you come here.
Come here to me.
Yeah. So that's it. Here to me podcast.com. But
Okay.
anyway, that's it. I will shut up.
Well, thank you both for being on our podcast. This has been really wonderful.
Thank
I
you.
want to thank all of you for joining us today on Couple Synergy. Our passion is in helping couples and people have happy and healthy relationships. And this podcast gives us a fun way of bringing our knowledge and expertise to you, our listeners.
You know, sharing stories is a way that human beings have been bonding, healing, and growing since the beginning of time. We hope that by you guys sharing your story, it's enriched your life and the life of our listeners.
For all you listening, please let us know how you enjoyed the show. If you have any questions, comments, or topic suggestions, please email us at contact@couplesynergy.com. For more information about Couple Synergy and our programs such as Relationship 101, the home study course, the Couples Weekend Intensive, which is coming up this April 20th to 23rd, and our premier coaching program called Couple to Couple, look us up online at couplesynergy.com.
And if you know someone who can benefit from this episode, please download it and share it. And thank you for listening.
Until next time, synergize your life and synergize your love.
You have been listening to Couple Synergy with Dr. Ray and Jean Ketkodian. Couple Synergy was recorded, edited, and produced by Dr. Ray and Jean Ketkodian. Voiceover and music entitled Breathe and Let Go was recorded and composed by Gina Gonzalez.